It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good.
See, right there. So what happened here is he did the exact same campaign, right, for senator. It's basically like, are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? Is what they would try to tell you. But at the end of the day, you care a lot about immigration. And unfortunately, it was illegal immigration that got my mother addicted to drugs. And it was all the fentanyl brought in by the Mexican drug cartels, Hezbollah, and Hamas, which is why I want to stop it. And it's like, that's not what happened. She was addicted to prescription drugs. That's right. 'Twas not China. 'Twas not the Mexicans. Nope. This happens to be the pharmaceutical industry, capitalism, profit incentivization.
Affordable health care.
The slogan is "We're not going back." Oh, that's good. Oh man, does she even have a better comms team? Have they already like fucking coalesced around her being like, you know what would really fucking... Oh, I hope that's true. I know people are like, complete sentences, not mixing up names, correct dates.
Affordable child care and paid family leave. We believe in a future where every senior can retire with dignity. So all of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency.
Damn.
Because here's the thing we all here, Wisconsin, know. When our middle class is strong, America is strong.
Not saying anyway, not saying anyway is a way of deflecting for the fact that he hadn't finished a thought coherently. So just starting a sentence and being like, anyway, you know, that is also refreshing. Yeah, no extreme
but
yelling,
Donald Trump
no whispering.
wants to take our country backward. He and his extreme Project 2025 agenda
Let's go. God damn, she's so
will
good at
weaken
this.
the middle class. Like, we know we got...
Okay, so by the way, I understand lefties that right now the liberals have become, within the span of a couple days, some of the most insufferable, annoying people on the internet. I get it. No, I understand. Because, like, obviously it's one of those things where, like, the reflexive response to the fact that everyone is willing to suddenly forgive every single one of the, like, crimes of Joe Biden and say, like, this is kind of like an Etch-a-Sketch. Like, oh, we're just erasing that. That's gone now. No. Things are fucking amazing now, and, like, the hope and change is possible. So they're I think, the ones that are reflexively getting a lot of, like, the online leftist accounts to suddenly be like, here's the photo of Kamala Harris made up from black men that she's incarcerated. Here's the statistics on Kamala Harris taking APAC donations. Here's the statistics on all of this kind of stuff. I understand. I totally understand and get it, because when it comes to Kamala Harris for president, I don't have any delusions, right? Like, I'm not sitting here thinking that, well, I think she single-handedly is going to basically call Israel an apartheid state. I think she's probably, within the next couple of days, going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu. I think that she's going to say loudly and vocally, free Palestine, and also recognize Palestine as a country. I think she's going to cut all funding to Israel. I think all of this is going to happen within probably the next 48 hours, honestly. Even as a vice president who's unelected as the president without the authority to do any of this, she's just going to do it. And that's what the future holds. No, absolutely not. To be honest, when it comes to the issue of Israel and Gaza, it would be absolutely phenomenal to see someone change course and take a different tone. It is possible, but it's not likely. Unfortunately, just that's the reality in my cynicism of just watching U.S. presidents and just the history of the war criminal cabinet that embodies them. Yes, absolutely. What I really want to emphasize here, because I know a lot of, like, lefties are reflexively, and I'll go after the libs too, don't worry. We're going after libs and lefties, and then mostly just the right for the rest of the show. I know the reflexive thing right now is to get really annoyed at the fact that it seems as if liberals are willing to accept identity politics above all else, or accept the very mystique, the personality, the cult of personality of someone, the essence of it. Like, that's what the lefties were doing, ironically, for funsies, when the possibility of taking down or having Joe Biden step down and helping try and push pressure towards that, because obviously it is intense pressure, like, you know, it's people saying, voters, registered Democratic voters saying, hey, we're not going to vote for Joe Biden, and or you know, we support him stepping down. Like the majority, I think it was like 75% of registered Democratic voters saying we want Joe Biden to step down, all that kind of stuff. That is the kind of things that big donors will start to get very scared by. That, and the fact that Joe Biden can't perform publicly, that and the fact that his polling is abysmal and getting worse, and there's getting less and less chance for you to try and close that gap as time goes on. All of that is what makes big donors pull out. Big donors pull out is what gets the Nancy Pelosi's, the Chuck Schumers, and the Adam Schiffs to be like, you're done. Okay, there's no deep state, there's no the left meme this into happening, as much as I would love to believe that, because again, I know how the right wingers, they all thought that they had magic. Like the alt-right thought that Pepe the Frog and Pepe the Frog memes had they called it meme magic, and that he was some kind of ancient Egyptian force, and that he was going to usher in the age of Kek and Kekistan and all this other weird kind of like neo-Nazi occultish kind of stuff, because they thought that they were legitimately like helping Trump along the way, right? Like they probably didn't have as much of an effect as, say, Hillary Clinton not campaigning in the Rust Belt, which probably had a much larger effect on Donald Trump's victory. But ultimately, that's kind of like a reflexive thing to suddenly seeing the very idea of like the liberals being like, oh, I'm with her. This is happening. You know, she is our queen now. This is amazing, and that kind of stuff. And that instant embrace and push suddenly we'll have that reflexive pushback, you know, from a lot of other sectors of other groups that are just like, wait, but are we forgetting like Kamala Harris isn't good either? Like, are you suddenly? And it's like, you should look at this, if you are a leftist, as you are selecting your enemy if you are an American and you're going to vote. Would I personally campaign for Kamala Harris for president? No, I wouldn't be knocking on doors. I wouldn't be taking time out of my day in the way that I have for other political candidates who actually align with a ton of my beliefs. But if I had the opportunity to vote for her over Donald Trump, I would, because in that case, I feel like I'm selecting my enemy. I'm picking Kamala Harris, who, as if I was an American, would be much better domestically for workers' rights, would be much better domestically for LGBTQ plus rights, would be much better domestically. But would I be deluded into thinking that this is going to come with a massive change in geopolitics when it comes to Israel? No. And unfortunately, that's going to be the case. So you don't have to go out there and be like Kamala Harris is effectively going to end the war in Gaza and is effectively going to end the genocide of Palestinians. That's you know, that's the person that I'm backing here. It's just not true. You are effectively selecting your enemy of two candidates. One being the day one dictator, serial rapist, Epstein pedophile, fucking convicted criminal, insurrectionist, fucking encouragement enthusiast. That is the disgusting, old, decrepit, oldest presidential candidate in human history, Donald Trump. Right? That's one of the two enemies you could pick. The other enemy is someone who is much more, who is like, I would say, more to the left of Joe Biden in her Senate voting record, more to the left of Joe Biden in her campaigning, when she was up against him and other Democratic competitors in the primaries. And that is a little bit more to work with in terms of like an enemy. And I see that as a non-American as well, in terms of like, how would Kamala Harris be as, say, a leftist living abroad, when I'm very, very concerned, obviously, about the fact that, you know, the imperial powers of the United States fuck up a lot of the world. And so what could we say about that? Prior to October 7th, I would be indicating that I was not expecting this, but Joe Biden has dramatically made the amount of foreign drone strikes by the United States plummet. He has now successfully pulled out of Afghanistan. They are no longer illegally occupying an entire other foreign nation. Yes, Trump started that process, but, you know, Joe Biden executed it. Those, to me, as a leftist, are better foreign policy decisions that reflect upon, if there was a choice between those two candidates, thank you, America, for voting for the one who's now turning the temperature down internationally when it comes to drone strikes and stuff like that. But then comes October 7th, president, and no one could have been worse for the job than Joe fucking Biden. The man who just cannot get in front of a microphone without bragging about what a proud Zionist he is at a time when Israel's committing a genocide. It is perplexingly disgusting to sit there and watch that as someone, to see a person go on camera and try and say, like, I've done more for Palestinians than any other president. You don't understand. I basically did the Oslo Accord, but the new ones, the Oslo Accord 2, and I was getting, Saudi Arabia to align with Israel in such a way that they were never, going to become enemies, and I'm preventing them from having a nuclear war with each other and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, motherfucker, no one wants to hear this. We all can see with our own eyes what is happening. But the raw military power of the United States, the weaponry of the world's greatest arms producer and dealer being enacted upon a densely populated civilian population of mostly children, we now know what that looks like. And it's just one of the most horrifying things anyone could imagine. And it disgusts all of us. It disgusts us, it repulses us, and it's genuinely making everyone, even if you are as far removed from that situation as possible, like geographically, depressed as fuck. You just every single day have to deal with another part. And by the way, it's not as if things are getting better today. Things are just as bad. They're worse. Like, if you didn't see the Channel 4 footage of everyone being evacuated from Khan Yunis, it looks like hell on earth. There's no other way to describe it. And right now, when there are arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu for being a war criminal, that should, if the international order was actually followed and the United States believed in international order instead of setting international order, which is what they believe. That's what the U.S. believes. They want to set the international order. They don't want to have to abide by the rules of international order. I mean, they fucking commit war crimes all the fucking time. So yes, in that case, it's selecting your enemy. That's what it comes down to. Not to in any way endorse the history of Kamala Harris and the things she's done. And honestly, that's why this moment, I know for a lot of people, is becoming profoundly confusing to see, because it's like, well, wait, what the hell? All of these progressive people, for example, all of the progressives in the corner, I thought you were all like, really free Palestine and stuff. Do you think that like Kamala Harris as the vice president is going to, like, if she becomes president, it's going to be any different? And the only thing I can say to that is I fucking hope so. I really fucking hope so. Because on a one-to-one level, I do not have the power personally to make the president of the United States stop being a genocidal war criminal. I personally don't. And voters can have a little more sway in that direction. So yes, as an outside observer witnessing what is happening, I fucking hope so. Even though, cynically, maybe not. But it's better than just more Joe. It's better than just more down the Joe path and then fucking fumble the Joe path for 4 months until Trump comes into power. And yeah, then there's absolutely no hope in fucking hell for Palestinians, right? At that point, it's like we've already seen what Donald Trump and his policies were when there wasn't just like an act of completely let's bomb every square inch until there's no fucking trace of humanity left going on in Israel. We've seen what Donald Trump does, and so his I think we've also vocally heard him talk about how finish the job, kill them all. Yeah, no, that's my official policy. Finish the job, kill them all. Yeah, you get rid of Hamas. They're all Hamas. Kill them all. It's very clear. You have an enemy, defeat the enemy, and then boom, the war's over. I'll finish the war. I'll just kill them all. That's it. So that's one option, and the option is question mark. That's essentially it. Good, like it was not question mark before. It was more of Joe Biden's policy. So now it's question mark, kind of. Staffers that resigned over the Biden administration over Gaza are hopeful. Not all of them, but there has, yes, as Emma has pointed out. Emma is the leader of, I think, the coconut tree revolution right now. As Emma has pointed out, it is true. Several of the Biden staffers who have retired out of disgust for Joe Biden's policies have stated that they think Kamala Harris will be better. There's a number of things that can point towards a potential, a hope, a small chance. There has been that interview where senior staffers were saying that Kamala Harris does not feel that Biden's policies on Israel and Palestine represent her. She's called it, this is Biden's mess, tried to separate her a little bit. She was doing a thing that you wouldn't expect the vice president to do, because the vice president, let's just be honest, for all intents and purposes is largely ceremonial for a long time until you're either called up to have to become the president or you have to be a deciding vote during certain decisions that need to pass. But for the otherwise, a lot of the time it's you start crafting public policy and front-facing policy because you're the front facing figure for a lot of things. You have to go visit. It's a lot of diplomacy. There is that. You have to do a fuck ton of diplomacy on behalf of the president. Speak for the president when you go travel and meet dignitaries and stuff overseas and other stuff of that nature. But you start to plan and craft what your own vision for 2028 is going to look like. And so she had been starting to show signs of that. She'd given that speech where she's like, we demand and call for a ceasefire in Gaza for 6 weeks. And you're like, it's like hope temporarily for a little bit. So that's slightly better, a little bit better for sure. You know, there's that.
Take this seriously. And can you believe they put that thing in writing?
Kamala, sorry.
Read it. It's 900 pages. But here's the thing. When you read it, you will see Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare. He intends to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and make working families foot the bill. They intend to end the Affordable Care Act and take us back then to a time when
Hillary Clinton, she won the popular vote. People did Pokemon Go to the polls, all right? It's when you start ignoring certain demographics and start saying, oh, we can win the red states. Those are a lock, blah, blah, blah. They've all turned blue for Obama. It's going to be a sure thing for Hillary. Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Yeah, that is way more detrimental, especially if you look at, say, demographics like Arab voters, Muslim voters, who are straight up like, yeah, her policies in Libya are disgusting to me. I can't in good conscience support her, vote for her, canvass for her. That's all valid. That's completely valid to listen to, again, Arab Americans, Muslim American voters who are also saying, yeah, I don't know if I can vote for this person. Justifiably. She has been the vice president that oversaw like a genocide, you know, and so like people who have valid concerns, let them have valid concerns. Going into their replies and just suddenly being like, Trump supporter here, guess you enjoy getting deported, fucking Muslims, you know, shit like that. Ooh, wow. So what is this? You're just tapping into your inner racism and then hoping that that's going to get someone to be like, oh, wow, I was a little concerned about voting before, but now that a whole bunch of white people have dropped into my replies to be like, oh, I don't know what's good for me, and that I'm being uppity. Oh, I'm definitely thinking of voting now for a Democrat. No, that shit doesn't work either. The entire concept of the vote shame into victory will not work. If you want to look to what will work, start looking towards, again, a lot of policies, trends that are occurring right now and how this has completely turned the tide on the GOP. The GOP fucking got way too excited way too early. Like I said, Jack Posobiec and wokeness, all those fucking really far right fasci accounts, straight up like replying to journalists and stuff, being like, your time is coming, we're so close, oh daddy dictator's just around the corner, I can already taste him, we're getting this. I said this, and maybe I was the only one because everyone was so doomer pilled at the time, but I said when they picked JD Vance, I was like, that's a weak pick. That's a weak candidate. That is not a strong choice, to be honest. You are not finding a moderate who's going to be able to temper a lot of the fears that the average voter has about Donald Trump, Project 2025, and all this kind of shit. You are getting someone who's even creepier and weirder than him, who's straight up got I want to track menstruation like through technology kind of a platform. That shit does not play well with half the electorate. I'm sorry, even the right-wing women who people are always like, oh, but the white right-wing women voters, you know, are just still going to pick for their own oppression because at the end of the day, they're so aligned with this kind of view. It's like, not really though, because like that red wave, it didn't occur in the way it was supposed to, in large part due to the fact that, yeah, in a lot of these red states, it was an issue driving voters of losing their bodily autonomy. Women, people who give birth, like this does and is a very powerful campaign policy that can legitimately transform American politics, and you're seeing it happen, and it's already been like battle tested. It's happened multiple times. So they are, and this is to my utter astonishment, by the way, because again, the DNC, just a clown show of ineptitude, a party that hates themselves, is inept, can't govern, and then uses whatever mild power they do manage to excavate out from time to time to then play blame and be like, oh, we would have done X had it not just been for the fact that we don't have the 2 extra senators that we need, so we can't do it. We would have passed this, totally. We're on board, we feel you, and we want to solidify this kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, we just didn't get the other team. Some of our team too. Joe Manchin. What are we supposed to do about Joe Manchin? Kirsten Sinema. What are you supposed to do? But otherwise, we feel you, right? Of course, I get it. I too would just be like, y'all fucking, you suck. They do. And by the way, they haven't stopped sucking, right? In this case, it's bizarre to see, like, I don't know if they hired a younger internet team. That could be it. That could have been that there's just a in waiting Kamala Harris internet team to be like, let's look at trends, let's look at what's going on here, and let's take a little peek at this, and then be like, we've hit viral gold. I don't know why, but all of the like genocide Joe's gotta go people all have like coconut tree emojis in their names now. Don't know what that's about. They're all talking about what has been and what may be, and they're all unbridled and other weird shit like that. Don't fully understand it, but there's something here, and there's something like exploding online, right? Take that, and then boom, what's the best strategy going forward? Call Trump a rapist. He is one. Call him a rapist, call him a criminal, say and push the fact that him and his weird ass creepy sicko little pervert of a fucking running mate, that dude wants to control strangers' menstrual cycles. He is the anti-porn fucking obsessed weirdo. Very, very unlikable. And now just look, already Trump has buyer's remorse. There's already articles coming out where Trump is a little upset because the first couple speeches that JD Vance has given, yeah, I told you, he's a weirdo and a sicko. No one is going to listen to that man speak and being like, so they call you a racist because you drink Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah, but that Diet Mountain Dew sure is delicious, isn't it? Yay. I love you guys. I didn't think I was going to turn that into a dog whistle because I was making fun of the fact that they turned everything into a dog whistle, but then I turned it into a dog whistle, and now y'all are agreeing with me. Yeah, we did it. Diet Mountain Dew's a dog whistle now. It manifested in real time before my... That to the average, like, normie is gross. People who see that kind of shit are not like, yeah, I'm into the Diet Mountain Dew is the N-word guy. That he's got my vote. What are his policies? I don't know. Something about controlling women's bodies and making sure that they can't is the other thing. That I think that's his only real policy. But yeah, he's calling Kamala like a spinster and a cat lady, and saying that she has a damaged uterus and stuff like that. So there's that too. I think, yeah, that's my ticket. That is certainly inspiring hope and change. You know. Like, goddamn. One day he was leaving the race and endorsing Harris. Trump is not young. He is the oldest presidential candidate to ever run in history. I think he should step down, personally, for the good of the nation. I think he should be stepping down. He should. He's not going to get younger as every day goes by. And now that Republicans are stuck with him, you can see that they're now having the ennui of that reality too, getting really, really upset. By the way, this is not indicative of what is going to be happening in the swing states. It still really does come down to the battleground states. Keep in mind, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Pokemon went to the polls. Vote shaming doesn't work. What you really need to be concentrating on is, again, key swing states where you have already alienated, justifiably alienated, by the way, Muslim voters, Arab American voters, people of color, youth. You've alienated the fuck out of all those categories, and no Brat Summer alone is going to fix that. Okay, as you know, as cute as you think the whole thing is, it only takes one person with, you know, a couple seconds and the right font to make the brat, you know, sign there's still a genocide going on and have everyone be like, true, right? So you can't run on memes. You can't run on, like, it don't get me wrong, it's nice that you're picking a song by Beyonce rather than a Katy Perry track. That's good. It's a good thing you didn't pick Women's World. You know, didn't think that was ever going to happen, but that is also good. But at the end of the day, you cannot simply win on memes alone. What's way more hopeful is what Emma just tweeted about the potential for her to have a meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu where she legitimately says that you need to end the war and you need to, you know, treat Palestinians better. The cynicism part of me doesn't, like, I'm sorry, I can't give in to the hopium of that being real, but we'll see. Tomorrow is a very, very big day, you know, at the end of the day. But the potential to turn things around, the fact that you know, y'all got what, a quarter of $1 billion in a single day of fundraising, shows you that yes, people are willing to throw their weight behind someone who is more inspirational to them.
The shoulders on which we stand Generations of Americans before us led the fight for freedom. And now, Wisconsin, the baton is in our hands. We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will make sure every American has the ability to cast their ballot and have it counted. We who believe that every person in our nation who should have the freedom to live safe from the terror of gun violence will finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Would be good. Would be good.
And we
would result in less dead
who
Republicans.
believe in reproductive freedom
Gotta run on that.
will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans because we trust women to make decisions about their own body and not.
See, that alone is such a winning ticket. And to be able, like, I heard that Donald Trump apparently already backed out of a debate. Like, these are the alphas. This is the high T fucking Chad fucking behavior where it's like, I'm not going to debate her. Why? She's not the legitimate candidate. That's why. It's like, oh, damn. All right, well, they're running scared. The fact that they're running scared is a huge difference from they thought they had this already. There is, yes, a massive obstacle to trying to throw together a complete campaign this late in the race. It is going to be a historic one. But you can tell why people are suddenly like, oh, okay, at least you have a fighting shot. You know, at least you have a fighting chance. Like, again, for the two groups, or maybe multiple groups, but like, you have to understand that it's completely fair for people who have Palestinian relatives or are Palestinian or are people who live in the Middle East or people who live in other countries outside of the US who don't see this as a potential change or difference. And they have every right to be just as disgusted and horrified and being like, it doesn't matter to me if it's Democrat or Republican, stuff like that. At the same time, the people who do live in the United States, of course, there is a decided and very, very concrete demonstrable difference domestically between the two parties and the two-party policies. And again, had it not been for Biden's fucking pro-genocide enthusiasm fucking final act, a lot of people at this moment would probably be talking about how, yeah, hey, guess what? All the unions are rapidly now coalescing behind Kamala Harris because she's very pro-worker, very pro-union, announcing that is going to, of course, help out a lot of people who want to know that the potential presidential candidate going forward is going to be working in the interests of workers. And so that's why you're seeing right now all these major unions getting behind Kamala Harris. In terms of, what is her policies going to be regarding, the geopolitics of the United States, that's a question mark at this point. Ideally, I mean, tomorrow will really, really be a key test for that. Ideally, tomorrow we're going to see what exactly is the change and the tone going to be going forward. But running on, again, access to reproductive health, which is essentially just access to healthcare, which is, again, essentially half the population and people who give birth having restrictive access to their ability to make medical decisions about their own bodies. That galvanizes people. That gets people out. That gets people out in red states. And like, there's not enough weird, creepy old men in America to win an election on that alone. There's just not enough weird, creepy old men in America who can sway an entire presidential election because they want to control wombs. And that's their fucking single issue, their key single issue voter. If anything, it is more damaging to the Republican Party than it is a solid victory, which is the exact reason why Donald Trump tried to tone down their own party's rhetoric on it a little bit, being like, you know what, we're going to leave it up to the states. I'm going to say states' rights. Everyone loves states' rights, small government, that kind of stuff. And that's why a handful of the extreme right were suddenly like, whoa, Donald Trump, what the fuck? I thought you're supposed to be on board with the whole womb project here. What's going on?
Have their government tell them what to do.
I mean, this is wild. This is the most on-point speech you could possibly give.
And when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms as President of the United States, I will sign it into law. So Wisconsin, ultimately in this election, we each face.
Calm down, Brian. Oh, well, like I said, you're about to see liberals. Oh, the what's it called? A glow up? I believe that's the term. You're about to see them just suddenly ascend to the happiness levels before untold. All of them are just magically going to be like, oh my God, everything is possible. The world has changed. Like, hope is here, kind of stuff. And yes, of course. I mean, liberals, like Republicans, I mean, they play team sports, right? They want their team to win. And they've been deeply sad, not because of, you know, as much the whole genocide Joe stuff, but some of them are. The good libs are equally, hopefully, as disgusted with Joe Biden's, you know, policies on Palestine as everyone else. But a lot of them were also just getting deeply, like the Pod Say Bros, deeply depressed because it was very clear Joe Biden couldn't win, right? And he was just doing his old man stubborn thing where it's like, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to the pundits. I'm not going to listen to my friends. I'm not going to listen to Obama. I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm going to listen to fucking Hillary Clinton, who says I have to stay in the race. So yeah, that's why a lot of them were going through their own bouts of sadness. And then there's the extremely strange ones who have now started trying to do this whole rebranding of Joe Biden's image, where it's like he's the hero that this age called for, statesman-like, principled. How could anyone, you know, not rise to the occasion like he just has, and demonstrated that he did the bravest thing of all, which is to step down with dignity, which of course was the narrative that I think they were trying to set Joe Biden up for, right? Like, sir, it's become evident that you cannot win this, unfortunately, whether it be your inability, you know, to communicate, the big donors pulling out, the polling showing you are well beyond the margin of error in swing states. It's a disaster. Here's your opportunity to do something that no president has done before. This will be historic. Right before the Democratic convention, even though that you are the presumed delegate winner, you of your own volition step down, a hero, noble, respected, loved. And look at that. There it is. There's all the media. And to be honest, as annoying as I find all that shit is, deeply hilarious to me how it just pisses off the RNC. Again, you got to take victories where you can find them, okay? Seeing that photo of Hillary Clinton having to grit her, like, oh, pop base, you use the best possible photo, the one where she's like that, where it's just like, you are gritting your teeth, being like, yes, Hillary Clinton has endorsed Kamala Harris for president. That moment, I was like, yes, you know, just like, yes. Then what she's supposedly supposed to do, according to top aides who are informing people, is that she's going to take a very different stance with Benjamin Netanyahu, demand he stop the war in Gaza, and use that as a propeller for, I'm sure, her campaign going forward. I am too cynical to 100% believe that's what's about to happen. It would make a lot more sense if she simply sat down and tried to lay out that she's going to be different than her predecessor for sure, but at the end, the alliance between the U.S. and Israel is extremely important. Israel's right to defend itself, all those kind of, you know, policies. That's in my mind what is going to take place. I'm ready to get surprised at every turn here. This is one of the most bizarre, maybe the most bizarre election in human history, to be honest with you. Too much happens too fast now. You know, the internet has ADHD brained the entire world. You now all think like I do. And so the entire world is just basically moving from one thing to, like, nobody even cares that Donald Trump survived one of maybe the most mathematically improbable assassination attempts in human history. And it did for the GOP. Republicans are like, he is our lion god king now. If he wasn't before, he certainly is now. That was divine prophecy. You saw the angel flag, didn't you? I saw it with my own eyes. It became an angel before me, and then God's prophecy was being fulfilled. So yeah, they're going full fucking Christian nationalist with this shit. But honest with you, when you watch that video footage where they show you the mathematics of it and the face turn at literally the exact moment that a bullet flies beside him, so that if he hadn't turned his face at that exact moment in time, and I'm not boasting that to be like, isn't that badass? More just like, it's so profoundly funny that no one gives a fuck. Because again, it is honestly completely mind-blowing when you think of all the factors that took place in that day, from an individual taking his dad's gun, traveling, you know, to go see the rally, climbing up on a booth while multiple people identified him as the shooter and were saying, he's up there, hey cops, there's a guy up there with a gun, what are we gonna do about this? You know, all that kind of shit. It was all going down. And then to him to take that bullet, to get one or two shots off, unfortunately killing a hero who died in front of his own children, but also missing the president by just like such a small margin of error that it cut his skin with the bullet. Like that story, I can tell why the right went full God mode with it all, and everyone else was like, eh. Just as Trump or a GOP member, you gotta be like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Is he not your God too?
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good.
See, right there. So what happened here is he did the exact same campaign, right, for senator. It's basically like, are you a racist? Do you hate Mexicans? Is what they would try to tell you. But at the end of the day, you care a lot about immigration. And unfortunately, it was illegal immigration that got my mother addicted to drugs. And it was all the fentanyl brought in by the Mexican drug cartels, Hezbollah, and Hamas, which is why I want to stop it. And it's like, that's not what happened. She was addicted to prescription drugs. That's right. 'Twas not China. 'Twas not the Mexicans. Nope. This happens to be the pharmaceutical industry, capitalism, profit incentivization, the pushing of, again, a lot of really hardcore opioids by a lot of, like, it's a long thing. It's less interesting than what you're saying. So, he's going on that same beat right now, trying to talk about that. Of all fucking drinks, to try and get you to, like, you know, hey, no. I know a lot of people are saying I'm a big tech bro, fucking Peter Thiel-esque, fucking, you know, I am technically the elites. Yes, I mean, what they're saying on paper is true, but I'm just like you. I drink Diet Mountain Dew. It's like, Diet Mountain Dew. Gross. No, I would pick the crab juice. I do not like seafood. I don't like crab. I would choose crab juice over the Diet Mountain Dew. At least pick like Baja Blast or something where the average person is like, hell yeah, I know that shit. Yeah, that shit's good. It's blue. I like blue drink. Give me the purple drink, the blue drink. I want some of that shit. There's no energy there. There's like we've heard him speak for a long time. I was like, he is a profoundly vulnerable candidate. He's one of those people who, like, he's a massive creep. He constantly wants to push an agenda of controlling your sex, controlling, your gender, controlling your wombs, controlling your menstrual cycles. Like, that's what that dude is all about. Is profoundly strange. And again, on a national scale, that just grosses people out. You know, even people who might be like, I'm not fully on board with abortion. I think it is kind of murdery, but at the same time, yeah, I want to make exceptions for rape and other stuff like that. If you got a guy being like, no exceptions, the wombs will be tracked, the JD Vance app will be launched day one, Peter Thiel funded, we will be able to monitor every woman's menstrual cycles. That's right, we're coming after all of you. Well, then, yeah, the everyday person's like, I don't know. Two Handmaid's Tale core, you know? You're really just going full sicko mode with this shit.
After the Republican National Convention, former President Donald Trump venting clear frustration after President Biden dropped out. Trump with multiple posts on social media, messages late last night, then early this morning saying, quote, now we have to start all over again. A clear indication they had hoped it would be President Biden he was up against.
Also, no stronger indication that this was actually the right decision going forward than how much the right have melted down collectively. They have no idea what to do right now, you know, which is strange because this should have been something that you observe and know is about to take place as a political strategist. Absolutely. The writing was on the wall. If you have fucking hardcore Free Palestine leftists changing their emojis into coconut trees, you should be like, something's going on here. There's some phenomenon, sir. We're seeing this really weird alliance of all these groups that previously fight each other all the time. They're all coalescing into something, and I don't know what it is, but this fucking, you know, Ultron, fucking Captain Planet tier alliance, whatever it is deeply, deeply scary and dangerous, and it's exciting. It's exciting people, and people who are, you know, normally just disgusted with the Democrats, they're irony memeing themselves into being excited about something right now. We have to change course. We have to prepare for this. This is the next thing, the next phase that is going forward. If you want to win this election, we can't ignore it. And instead, he's just like, Joe is still the candidate. Drop out Joe. He doesn't even know that he's not the candidate. Joe Biden. I hate Joe Biden. I've spent money fighting Joe Biden. Why is not... If you're complaining that, like, it's unfair, you're like whining like a little baby. Like that, oh, this is not a good look. Not for the alpha dogs, the dudes who are so concerned with fucking testosterone levels that they've literally got fucking like meters the way people who wear like ankle bracelets do when they want to drive their car. They have those for T levels, just so they're never a little soy or cucked in front of their peers. Like fucking, oh good, yes, no, oh, above average, all right, I can show up. Those same people are suddenly going to be excited. We're like, it's not fair. But it's not fair. That was the candidate. I was promised. The easy old man who doesn't speak English as well. I want him. No, that's not fair. I don't want to have to do. I don't want Kamala. You know, like, whoa, yeah. I mean, it does show that you are at a now decided disadvantage. You are now, by default, having spent weeks talking about how Joe Biden is too old to run. He's just too old to be a presidential candidate. You have suddenly become the oldest presidential candidate in history. There you go. So now you enjoy it. You enjoyed Republicans. Let's see how you play with this whole thing of having an old guy who doesn't have the same amount of energy, who's now starting to misspeak when he like wants to say the horrifying things that he wants to say. That everyone is like, I am both disgusted and bored. Yeah, that's the current level of Trump energy. I'm horrified, disgusted as always at the things that he's saying and proposing, and bored. I wasn't bored before. That's why I was tuning in, because I was just like, oh my god, this guy, he's like a combination of sometimes hilarious, because he just says the weirdest shit, but also deeply frightening. So he's scaring me, and I can't turn away. I have to watch this. Every TV station has to turn to this. Soon as he's not entertaining and he starts going boring, oof, you're in trouble there as well. Let's just take a quick gander right now at, and obviously, whew, if you thought Laura Loomer was racist before, ever since the announcement, Kamala Harris. So look at this. It's time for Republicans to start talking about Kamala Harris' sexual history and the reason why she likely doesn't have any children of her own. I'm willing to bet she's had so many abortions that she damaged her uterus. A woman who has no biological children of her own should not be allowed to make decisions in the White House for your children. Republicans need to run with this messaging. Yes, they do. I completely agree. Run on this alone. Make this the centerpiece of your entire campaign. Just keep talking about her uterus, about her, like, you know, children she doesn't have. Keep doing that. Just go full sicko mode, real weird with it. Republicans need to run with this messaging and ask why a woman with no kids of her own is just a scarred up uterus is so obsessed with wanting to kill your babies. Kamala has zero investment in the future and she wants to determine our future. Fucked. They want this woman to be president. Literally a compilation of her laughing. I watched it. It's just her laughing. I was like, that's it, eh? He laughs again. What? That's what people do when they're having fun, enjoying life, enjoying the company of other people, being pleasant. J.D. Vance says women who haven't given birth, like Kamala Harris, are childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and have no direct stake in America. Kamala Harris and her campaign team are getting ready for the upcoming election. The torch has been passed. Just full sexism. Just absolute unbridled sexism. This is 73,000 likes. Like, do you not, in any way, do your comms teams not realize how fucking alienating this is to half the fucking population of the United States? And people who give birth.
Concerns the Trump campaign most with this switch with the Democratic ticket, and how is the Trump campaign responding to what appears to be a message from a growing number of Democrats? You had some of them there in the piece, that it's now Donald Trump who is the oldest in this race, and now he alone will face that scrutiny over age and mental fitness moving forward.
Yes, David, and this is now a question that Trump's senior advisors and aides are fully aware that he is now.
I'm seeing Joe and the Ho stickers on their cars. See that, like I told you, it's going to be the play. It's two buttons they can push: racism, sexism. I'm just going to smash them over and over. This will work. This will definitely sound up the average, you know, moderate American voter. Please realize on some levels that, like, there are different leftists around the world, right? And so there are leftists who live within America that have completely valid concerns, especially if they're part of the LGBTQ plus community, who are inspired right now by a potential change to hold off and choose their enemy. This is them picking their enemy to choose an enemy in this particular race who is not stating day one that he is going to try and eliminate all forms of gender affirming care. there. That is Donald Trump. That is Donald Trump's own video message that he's recorded, that put out there, that day one, I'm going to stop the radical trans agenda. I will be eliminating all forms of gender affirming care. Yes, there's a lot of people whose lives will be directly impacted by a policy like that, who are very, very scared and are suddenly excited that they have a fighting chance. That is completely 100% true. And hey, if you happen to be a lefty in America and you're witnessing leftists in other parts of the world saying, it's disgusting, and I'm sorry, but I cannot in any way, shape, or form support the genocidal empire of the United States and what they are enacting upon Palestinians right now. It is revolting to me, and there is just no part of my being that will ever be coconut tree pilled, even ironically. Fuck this administration. Their concerns are valid too, especially if it happens to be someone who lost family or is losing family or has family in Gaza. Yes, they're not looking at this as I hope life gets better domestically for Americans kind of thing. They want to end this war, and they want to stop this genocide and end this slaughter in every way, shape, or form. Their concerns were valid as well. The same thing applies to Black Americans who are now saying, in a lot of lefty Black Twitter accounts, stating that yes, Kamala Harris's history of being an incarcerationist is deeply troubling to me. This pro-cop city kind of mentality. I'm sorry, I can't support that. This directly impacts my life. This directly impacts the lives of my families. I am worried about over-policing. I am worried about over-incarceration, disproportionately incarcerating Black and brown people in the United States. I'm sorry, but this also disgusts me. Their concerns were valid as well. You know, I know a lot of people think that everyone is fighting each other at this moment in history, but I'm trying to explain why certain people in different factions suddenly feel that at this moment that there's an inspiring potential change. And simply having a question mark, not anything definitive and not anything, to be honest, in my opinion, hopeful, but just having a question mark in what is their policy going to be in regards to Palestinians, that question mark alone, and we're going to find out a lot more about what that question mark actually is enough to have some people be like, maybe there could be a change. Maybe there could be a chance. You know, maybe there could be something else to this.
Secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Puppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.